We're live. All right, I'll give it some time. Premiered myself a little early. I got excited. Let me fix this camera in the meantime, and I can check the sound and get the polls ready. All right. Let's get started. I guess I'll ask about this week just because I don't have a question off the top of my brain. So I'm going to ask you guys about the weekly collective. All right, we're going to do, I'll choose this card. I'm going to choose the Seven of Swords reversed. And just because it's a little bit more of a complex card, right? So give me a moment. All right, just typing it up. All right. And what else? Hold on. I think I have, let's see. You know what? I think I'll put this. Because this is a possibility. And you guys can say if it's something else. If you've had any other experiences with this card for this week. Just checking the spelling on my stuff because sometimes my brain she doesn't care. All right. Poll is created. Let me check the sound. Can you guys even hear me? I don't know. Sometimes the sound is way off and I'll be talking away and I won't even know. All right. Sound is good. Sound is great. All right. So this week's question is, how did the Seven of Swords reverse show up for you this week? It's based off the weekly collective. I'll ask some fresher questions next time. It was just the only thing that was on my brain right now and all I can think of. So I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for the lack of creativity this time. But did the Seven of Swords show up for you as an honest conversation? Did it show up as the truth being revealed? Did it show up as karma for your enemies or even for yourself? You know, maybe you had some karma coming your way this week. Or did it show up in a way where, you were taking accountability or somebody else was taking accountability? Let me know how the Seven of Swords showed up for you reversed this week. For me, I would say it was a very much like an honest conversation combined with truth being revealed for me this week. Definitely 100% that, that Seven of Swords, when they are reversed, it's time to have that truth come to the light. What is in the dark is now coming to the light. It was also a moment where it was like, I had to take accountability, not necessarily for my flaws, because it wasn't my flaw. It was more so a different approach. And this is where the Lovers comes in, because we got the Lovers, the Seven of Swords reverse, and we also got the Nine of Swords. So you might have had an honest conversation about a certain approach or behavior, or even just some awkward conversations with people. But either way, that is what's going on. But welcome, one and all. Welcome to the live. This is Brandy. If you are new here, hello, I am Brandy. Welcome to AstroTarotResearch. I am a practical tarot reader and I am an astrology researcher. So I like to combine real world insights based off of my 15 years plus of experiences to give you grounded predictions so you can use that to empower yourself. And from an astrology perspective, I do a lot of research. I look at a lot of different charts, a lot of different people to figure out the patterns that are appearing in our astrological and real world. How do these things align? That is what I'm here to figure out and share with you all. If you're new to the live, this is where I come to do the weekly collective, to give some tarot insights, astrological insights, and you guys can ask me questions. Questions are $5 for yes or no, $10 for in-depth questions. You can do PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat if none of those options are available to you, though I prefer PayPal and Cash App because Super Chat, YouTube takes a big percent, but that's fine, you know. But let me know. This is a Friday night live. I have not been here for a late night Friday in a minute. I am going to pop up tomorrow for those of you who might miss this live. I did announce last week that I was going to do the Saturn and Purva Bhadrapada video soon. Saturn went into Purva Bhadrapada last week on Friday. So I'm going to do that video tomorrow. So if you want to see my face again tomorrow, I'll show up then. But either way, just welcome to the live. I hope you all had a wonderful week. Let me know how it's been. Mine has been full of responsibility, you know, as usual. And there was some honesty. There was some truth, you know. As I said, that Seven of Swords reverse came up to me as an honest conversation being number one. But I am very curious to see how it came up for you. So feel free to answer the polls as you're coming in. Let me know how your week's been. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know if you have any questions. And as we're doing that, I'm going to jump into the weekly collective because I feel like, why waste time, guys? It's a late Friday night. I don't know if I'm going to stay up too late this time. Just because I have been up all day, and I mean all day, guys. And I've been working on my work for my finals, not to make this about me, you know, but I am a person who runs on energy like everyone else. And so I've been doing that. And I've also been working on some items behind the scenes related to the tarot forms. So right now I have my little tarot form for you guys if you want to fill out and get a private reading. Link is in the description bar. But I am working on adding some improvements so I can get something a little bit more standardized and easy to use and more intuitive. So I am working on that, and I've been working on that all day, and it's a lot more complicated than I thought. So I hope you enjoy it when I finally premiere it. It's nothing amazing, but to me, because I've been putting so much work into it, it's amazing. But I hope you have all had a beautiful, beautiful week. I'm going to get some water before anyone else comes in. I always forget to get water before we start. Don't beat me up, okay? Whew. Okay. I had to get this coaster. All right. I am back. I am back. Okay, ooh, I hope all is well. All right, let me just shuffle this away. And while we're at it, we're just going to do a weekly collective while people are coming in. And to recap, while I'm shuffling, as I was talking before, last week for the weekly collective, we pulled the Lovers, the Seven of Swords, and the Nine of Swords. And I also pulled a little bit of a highlighting card, a clarifying card, and that was the Nine of Cups. So what I talked about in terms of that weekly collective is that we may be making a choice. We may be deciding, but well, there's a lot of things we could be deciding, but we may be deciding some career moves. We may be deciding how we want to approach certain people socially. We may want to decide how we want to approach matters socially, skill sets, just a lot of decisions when it comes to traveling, friendships, connections, all of those swords areas in life. And the thing about swords is swords also have to do with your thinking and your communication. And so for some of you, if you have been looking to transform your thinking and your communication, this would have been a week that you were probably very reflective when it comes to that. And that nine of swords on the end, it's very much so like, oh, I'm wondering if, I am coming across a certain way. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Is this going to come back and bite me later, especially since we have that Seven of Swords reversed right in the middle of the week. Now, for me, I can let you guys know this played out with having an honest conversation. And that conversation made me reflect on how I want to approach my persona more so in a work and professional environment. And that was my thought in terms of that, without getting too deep in it, and telling all my business. But essentially, that was a lot of thinking on my end. And I think that's something that a lot of us may have thought about, especially if I go on any sort of social media app, TikTok, whatever. You'll have a lot of people talking about how they have to basically code switch within the workplace, and especially if you're a minority or if you're Black, like, it's a whole thing. We all know. So there may be some thought processes when it comes to that. I also get the Lovers when it comes to connections, friendships. Sometimes people are longing for those connections with someone, but maybe their pride is like, oh, I don't want to drag my feet and come running back, etc. with that Seven of Swords. But let's get into this weekly collective. I'm done shuffling here. And welcome if you are coming in. I just want to say hi. I'm Brandy. I'm doing the weekly collective. Feel free to vote on how the Seven of Swords reverse came up for you last week, or this week. Sorry. So for next week, we have the Six of Pentacles coming up for our weekly collective. We have Temperance. We're off to a good start. This is a lot of compromising. This is a lot of teamwork. There's a lot of coming together. There's a lot of support. I like that. And this actually is the Seven of Cups reverse. Sorry, the Five of Cups reverse. I don't know what words are coming out of my mouth, guys, but we have the Five of Cups reverse. I like this because to me, it's following a little bit of that theme of last week where I was saying that we may be worrying about nothing. And next week, we're going to see how that worrying about nothing is playing out. So the Six of Pentacles and the Temperance card represent a bit of support there. And if you don't have support, then you yourself are doing a great job at keeping balanced. I've noticed that Six of Pentacles card is somebody who's very much prepared to take on the world. They don't let anything rock them. If something is, coming from left field, they reprioritize, reorganize, and restructure, and they get it together and fit it within their new plan. Okay. Or they make it a part of their new plan. So that Six of Pentacles and that Temperance card shows that we are balanced. And I remember last week, or was it 2 or 3 weeks prior, we got that Temperance card, and it was more so about trying to keep our cool, be patient, be balanced, in a way also being motivated as well. And I feel like this week comes with a little bit of motivation, and also we're bringing in more of that patience, but it doesn't seem like the energy is as disruptive. I will say with the Five of Cups reverse, it may show a little bit of emotional stagnation, like a refusal. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my mouth. Refusal of letting things go. And not wanting to move on from certain situations, or maybe even a little bit of shock, like, oh my goodness, it's time for things to change. It's time for things to switch. And, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to move on. I don't know if I'm ready to go. But you are ready to go. You have everything prepared. You have all your ducks in a row. You are someone who has been planning this, who's been waiting for this, who is got everything you need to succeed. Very grounded, inspirational type of energy coming in. But overall, I don't see this week to be a rock your boat situation. Like I said, with the temperance card there, it does show that you're doing best to remain very composed, even if situations are trying and testing. And even if it feels like maybe even sometimes I get the Five of Cups reversed, you just feel like things are even dragging out longer than you would like, especially with Temperance card. Sometimes that connects to discussions or even contracts or sometimes legal matters or belief systems, whatever the case may be. But anything involving like ninth house themes, HR, bosses, whatever the case may be, it may feel like certain discussions like around them are dragging out or work is slowing down from their end, and you're like, oh, please. But there's that. So I do want to get into that feeling. But also I want to say one more thing about the Five of Cups reverse, because when it's upright, it's about letting go and grieving and having a moment to release those feelings. When we have the Five of Cups, when it's reversed, it's almost like we have a lot of pent up emotion that we may not be letting out, because we might be fearing that, one, we might be so sad we don't stop crying, or something along the lines of, I'm worried how it may be perceived by others if I just let it all out or let it all loose. It's kind of those moments where you have to accept that it's okay to not be okay, right? You don't have to be composed all the time. So that's something I just wanted to make a note of about the Five of Cups for the weekly collective, possibly ahead. So that is what we have. Hopefully it is a beautiful week. It does look like it's going to be calm. It does look like there's some good things coming our way, some support, maybe some paydays for people, because we got that Six of Pentacles there. I will say, I usually just see the, hey, Laya. I think I have said that right. Laya? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, I don't know, I'm saying things different these days, but I hope you're doing okay. How are you? I was just wrapping up the weekly collective. I hope your week has been very good and positive. Let me know how it's been. My week's been all right, personally on my end, just a lot of wrapping up schoolwork and responsibilities at work. Anyone can get a reading. It is $5 for yes or no and $10 for in depth. And there is no limit on the amount of cards I will pull. My PayPal Cash App is below. So if you need it, it should be there within the description bar, or you can go through Super Chat. But yes, I don't block anyone from getting a reading. But if you're new here, all readings are paid. Sometimes people come in, they think readings are free, but no. That's why I have my pinned comment. So I let people know that readings are paid. But feel free to answer the poll if you don't want to get a paid reading, or even if you do want to get a paid reading. I am very curious to see how this week played out for you. I love hearing how the different cards show up in you guys' life. I think even on the community tab, I asked a question about like which card feels like the most victory and achievement. And I think the Six of Wands won. And I kind of thought the World card of the Chariot would win, but it's pretty shocking. So that's why I love asking these type of questions. So to get a good consensus on what cards are showing up and how they're showing up in people's lives. And there was something I wanted to say while we are waiting for anyone to come in if they would like to get a reading. I did want to mention, because I'm not going to have time to mention this tomorrow. And tomorrow is when I'm going to be talking about Saturn entering Purva Bhadrapada. It entered last Friday. So I'm going to be talking about that transit and what that means for you and your 12 signs. So if you're interested in that, you can watch that live back. But I wanted to talk just a little brief mention that Pluto is finally going direct. So it has been retrograde since May 4th. And I just find it exciting that I think it's 3 days, October 13th. Yes, on Monday, it will be going direct. So I wouldn't be surprised if some things we've been working on, reflecting on, redoing, restructuring, especially when it comes to, areas in our life where we may have felt powerless or even powerful. All of those areas may have been under consideration. And I think in all of our lives, we do have some area in our life where we feel like we wish we had more power or control over. So keep in mind when Pluto goes direct, it is almost like those energies are coming into alignment, or it feels a little bit better. I guess that's the word I'll use. Hello, how are you? How's your week been? If you're just coming in, I was just talking about how Pluto's going direct Monday, just briefly. That is good to hear. My week has also been great. I hope the weather's been great. I am doing wonderful. I have a class ending, so it feels like a wave of relief. How have you been? And if you guys are coming in, don't forget to answer the poll. I am very curious to see how the Seven of Swords reverse showed up for you this week. And if you would like a reading, just as a reminder, please refer to the pinned comment as well as the description bar. It is $5 for yes or no and $10 for in depth. And there's no limit for the amounts I will pull. In terms of card readings, I like to pull cards until I get the full answer and I can fully answer your question. But I do not provide free readings. I know if some people may be new, so they may think that, but I like to make it as clear as possible. All my readings are paid. So if you're interested in getting a reading, just remember $5 for a yes or no question and $10 for in-depth questions. And I am more than happy to answer your question. I just want to make it clear because I know not everyone is, aware. Some people come in, they're new to the lives, but this is why I try to keep the comments pinned and say, hey, like it's right there. It's up front and center. I'm not hiding anything. And also, for anyone who's new, feel free. I have like literally a whole roster of live videos that people can reference and go to see my reading style available. But yes, that is how I do things. Well, welcome here. It is nice to see a new face. I always love to welcome anyone who is coming here for the first time. That's why I feel it's important to announce it, so I can be very repetitive with announcing the same thing, because I know some people come in and they are new. But yes, during the live, how it works is people come in, they will ask me the questions. I do weekly collectives. I also will talk about some astrology events if anything interesting is coming up. And then I will pull you astronauts and ask you questions. Lately, I've been asking more about the weekly collective because I've just been in a non-creative space. But I do want to know what's going on in you guys' lives. How did the Seven of Swords reverse show up for you this week? Was it an honest conversation? Was it the truth being revealed? Was it karma for your enemies? Was it taking accountability? For me, it was an honest conversation, but I'm not allowed to vote, unfortunately, because I created the poll. But yes, that is what I do here. But if you want to just come and have a conversation and talk, then feel free to have a conversation. I am more than willing to do so. But if you have a specific question, then all you have to do is send for CashApp, PayPal, or Super Chat, and I will get to your question immediately. But as I was saying, we have Pluto going into direct mode. And so this is a moment where you might even feel like you're finally being able to fully step into your power. Now, some people may have felt this during the retrograde, because I have seen people say that they felt like they have received more opportunities or a new start during the retrograde. They've had an opportunity to switch career paths. They've had an opportunity to um, explore different relationships or dating experiences that they haven't had before. And you have people experimenting with different styles, or even thinking about moving into a different area or direction. But there's definitely this conversation when it comes to a shift, there's weddings, connections, different life events are happening and being formed at a level of intensity when Pluto is going retrograde. And now that it's direct, the energy does actually let up a bit, because as I've mentioned before, I think I mentioned this in my Uranus and Critica video, when planets are retrograde, it brings about a higher level of intensity. It's almost like, they go from sitting across from you to like sitting right next to you. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? That retrograde energy is like the planet is like right up in your space. Right. And so when I am talking about Pluto finally going into this place where he's direct and he's on a mission and he has a sense of clarity and focus in his life, then this is what you might start to see as things start to unfold coming this Monday. And it makes a lot of sense that we got that Six of Pentacles and the Temperance card, because it's like, oh, wow, finally, we're getting some support that we need. We're getting some strong direction, some comfort, a leg up in a sense. Now, remember, we got the Six of Pentacles, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? I'm trying to remember the context of which we got it, but I remember specifically, I know for me that week, and hopefully you astronauts can refresh me if you have looked at the weekly collective and you were there for that Six of Pentacles week. For me that week, it was about being structured. It was about being on time. It was about being focused and having a sense of purpose. That's generally what it was. But so hopefully I see that coming for you guys this week. Just a strong sense of confidence and knowing who you are. It's all about a fair trade and sticking to your principles and your guns, especially with that Temperance card there. The Temperance card there is very much like I'm aligning myself with my principles and my integrity. But that's what I have for you in terms of that. I may end the live early, guys, if there is no questions, just because I've been awake for so long. So I'll give it for a couple of more minutes. If anyone wants to come in and ask a question or come through or talk about whatever's going on in their week or their life, then I am here and I am available to you. Said, I'd like a detailed question. Okay, Aaron, feel free. And just let me know if you have paid through PayPal or Cash App. But I am very happy to answer your question. And this is one of my favorite decks, the Robin Wood Tarot. It's very, I don't know, spooky is the word I want to say. Like it, I remember when I first got it and I went through the airport and it like set my bag off. And I was like, what is going on? Why is my bag going off? And it was the tarot cards. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of energy coming from that tarot deck. So this is one of my favorite decks. I find it to be one of the most accurate. And I just love it. I might just get another one because I've used it so much. It's a little worn down. Oh, Cash App. Sounds good to me. Let me make sure that my phone is not dead. And I'm just shuffling away, resetting the energy, making sure that I am ready. Okay. Okay. And Aaron, let me know your question whenever you are ready. Ooh, cards are already flying. Okay. I'm just wondering what you can tell me about me and the guy I met a few weeks ago. We connected. I'm wondering what will come of it. All right, let's see. We have the Strength card. We have the Knight of Pentacles here. And we have the Four of Pentacles. That's interesting because a lot of these cards are very much like slow motion, taking your time, stagnation, holding in place. I wonder if, either you're scared to make the first move or he's scared to make the first move. But whatever the case may be, it's almost like neither one of you want to be the first one to sort of like reach out and make that connection. And if no one makes that first move, then the cards are kind of indicating that this is going to struggle to get off the ground, especially with the Strength card, Knight of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles would indicate some type of fear, a feeling of rejection, or not wanting to take a risk and go forward and worried that something might not work out. And then the Strength card is like, oh, I'm just going to wait. But then when we get that Nine of Pentacles, is like, okay, maybe we waited a little too long to connect, and the energy is, it feels strange. Well, he's working out of the country right now. So maybe that's what's taking so long. Maybe that's why the cards are indicating that pause, that wait, that longevity. But I think you guys are going to have to connect on some sort of level in terms of like video calling or texting, or this is not going to go in the direction you want it to go. And it's not because you don't have chemistry. Let's pull some cards here. We have the Tower and the King of Pentacles. I say, with the Tower card there, if you have this person's number or contact, make a bold move, and you don't have to make any plans, but you can sort of incite him to make plans, says we haven't met yet in person. You got to really put some fire under his butt with the Tower card there. I really feel like he needs that motivation to like make the leap. It's like I said, it's not that he's not interested, but the Four of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles gives me this feeling of being like shy, scared. He needs like a little bit like of a confidence boost. And I think if you were to say something flirtatious, it might motivate him to be like, okay, no, I'm really, I really need to jump in. I really need to go for it. Because I just see that there's no reason here you guys can't connect. The cards would have given definitely different cards for incompatibility. We have the Ace of Swords and the Hangman. Hold on, let me see that. And we have the King of Cups. Okay. So I think this needs to be a very honest and open and vulnerable conversation about the direction that you guys see the relationship going in. And the reason I say that is because the Hangman generally looks towards the future and thinks about how they can change or transform or do things different or something along the lines of that. It's just a very reflective card. But ultimately, with the Ace of Swords, it's like, let's have a conversation about the future. With the King of Cups, very open, very vulnerable, very honest. Let's put things on the table. The Hangman is in a very vulnerable position. He's upside down. He's there. He's exposed for the world to see. And I think having this type of conversation is really going to allow you guys to start to make very solid plans so that this doesn't get so delayed and this doesn't get, dragged out longer than it needs to in terms of you guys not meeting physically in person. He's been very, very responsive. It's just about waiting until he comes back. I mean, it's good that he's been very responsive, but he's got to set that deadline. Like, you know what I mean? He's got to say, I'm going to be here by this day. That's what the Ace of Swords is kind of like saying. Like, it wants you to be very direct. Like, I expect this day, you come visit me. This is the plan. This is the week. This is the day. This is where you're staying. This is the hotel book. Like, the cards are wanting this conversation, that type of conversation to be had. We have the Seven of Pentacles. And that type of conversation is going to really bring you guys into the next level of being a very, serious romantic prospect. That type of conversation is going to elevate both of you into this headspace where you're both like, yeah, this is something that we are actually putting in motion, and we're seriously thinking about, like, okay, how does this actually look? Where would we even live? Where would we be? How would our families come together? Do you see this being it being a long term? Let's see. We have the Empress. So yeah, I think so, for sure. I always get the Empress to be somebody who's happy, who feels nurtured, fulfilled, loves where they are. They have everything they want and need, comfortable, at peace. So yes, I definitely can see you guys being long term. It's just a matter of getting everything out on the table and setting those dates, saying this is the date we need to meet, and actually making those plans, booking that plane ticket, I don't know, boat ticket, train ride, whatever, make sure that you guys are meeting up, and this has potential to really blossom and grow. The Empress doesn't spend her time and waste her time on things that aren't going to blossom and grow and create a beautiful garden for her in the long term. It's something that's lasting. It's something that's fulfilling. It's something that, I don't know, just brings her internal peace, For me, for what I see, your connection is pretty solid, just based on the fact that we've gotten all these pentacles here. It's very much like, I'll say this, with the pentacles here, one thing about it is that there's a lot to know about each other because we don't have a lot of swords. And when we don't have a lot of swords, it's like you don't have that extremely blunt and extremely honest, truthful conversation. The Pentacles can be a little bit more politically correct and wanting to be more appeasing, or is that the word I want to use for that? And so the connection is good. It's just a matter of needing to be a little bit more open about expectations. And let me pull one more card. Another Pentacle, Two of Pentacles here. Which I like that because, like you said, there's distance between you. And I always get this card for distance. And I'll say this, with the Two of Pentacles, it shows that there's a lot of differences when it comes to maybe even culture, when it comes to like practical ways of living, or just various different areas of life. It could be hobbies, could be lifestyle, could be family structures, family development, patterns, things along the lines of that. But it just shows that there's some differences that are going to need to be balanced within the relationship, but they can be balanced, especially with the Two of Pentacles there. So your insights into your relationship is you're very compatible, but you guys need to spend more time together. And when you spend more time together, you're going to notice that there's some differences that you guys are going to have to compromise on, is what the cards are basically saying. You guys are both going to have to learn to be more flexible, essentially. He said he's a Libra and I'm a Gemini, if that helps. I mean, to me, it just shows that you both change your mind a lot. But I just know that you're both going to have to be flexible when you spend that time together. And there's nothing bad here. It just shows that you two are in the process of getting to know each other. And you have a lot of long-term potential. And if you want this to be something to last, then I say have those very straightforward conversations. But it looks good to me, Aaron. I don't see anything to be concerned about. You're welcome. And I'm sending you good luck. I think things are going to work out, You're welcome. All right. Okay, guys. I was going to wrap everything up in a few minutes. Oh, cards are flying here. I was going to wrap everything up in a few minutes, only because I'm a little tired, but I will be on tomorrow. But before I go, I do want to encourage you all to watch the latest reading. Next in Your Career, this was the one that was voted on. I think it had like 57% of the vote in terms of readings you guys wanted to see next. I still got to create another poll for readings you guys want to see next, but I'll do that later. And also, there was another announcement I wanted to make. Yes, tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to be here tomorrow for the Saturn Purva Bhajapada video. I'm going to go over Purva Bhajapada, what it means, the symbolism, what it means for your 12 signs, and how it will connect in your life. And I was talking earlier about how Pluto is also going direct on Monday. And so you may feel a bit more empowered or wanting to step into your power or just accepting a new path for yourself. I've just seen a lot of different changes, letting go, transformations in that way. Some people have ended relationships. Some people are starting new businesses. I've just seen a lot of different changes going on. Some people are taking a break and a decline from work, which is not their normal pattern. So that is all I have to say in terms of that. I will be here next week, and I'm thinking I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, the next reading will be out next week. And don't forget that I go live on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Times posted on the community tab by Tuesday night. I'm going to have to close this out because let me tell you, my brain is lagging. I have been working on getting you guys a better system to fill out the private readings because the tarot form was supposed to be temporary. So I've been working on creating something nicer for you all, and that's why I'm so tired. I've been grinding away all day because it's my goal to get it up by the end of the year and have everything look nice. I might be a little bit of a perfectionist in that way, but that is what I wanted to say in terms of that. Thank you all for watching and stopping by. Stop by tomorrow. Don't forget, see me then. Be sure to like all the videos and stuff, and I will also be happy to take any questions then if you really want to ask me a question. But I would encourage you to do so either before I get started with the astrology or after. But that's all. That's all I have to say. And I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow, and that's it. That is it. I'm going to end it.